Hi, I'm Shay, and I'm the host of Walking with the Chosen. Today, I'm actually going live with you so I can share a journal entry about walking with the Chosen and, or I should say, The Chosen. This isn't about my show, this is about the TV show The Chosen, and what it means to live out your faith. And this is a new approach I want to start taking with my channel more often. And I want to help people who are new believers, just learning how to walk with God, walk with Jesus, and not knowing where to start. So I'm going back to the Bible and using my journal entries to try to help you based off of episodes from The Chosen. So, welcome if you have never met me before. And for those of you who have followed my channel, thank you for being here this evening or in the replay. I'm just very thankful that you're giving me a chance to try out doing a live video. This is brand new to me, and you never know what's going to happen with a live. So, we're going to jump into this episode, and I'm just going to briefly share something that I learned. And please let me know if you have any thoughts or comments about this. So I'm starting off with James chapter 1, verse 22. This is the very first verse that I ever memorized as I became a Christian. And I wrote it down, so I'll be referring to my notes as I go through this live today. But what the verse is do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. This verse became probably my lifeline. It's something that I realized that I needed to hold on to as I was going on my beginning journey with God and trying to figure out what steps to take. And we see this happen throughout the Chosen, especially when the disciples are still learning what that means as they walk with Jesus. So, in the first example I wrote down, James and John are plowing a field, and this occurs in season 2, episode 1. We see them plowing this field, and they're talking about, oh, we must be special because we were picked to do this, and I'd rather do this any day than be in that town with the Samaritans. They didn't want to be around any of them. And they didn't know why Jesus asked them to do this. They just knew it was their responsibility. And later in that episode, they realize that they're helping a crippled Samaritan, which just really disgusts them for the most part because they know that Samaritans don't like Jews. And of course, they're Jewish. So why would they want to do something nice for these people that they don't like? But even though they were asked to do something they didn't understand, they did so with obedience. When Jesus and the disciples came back later to have dinner with the man and his family, the man was able to learn he didn't kill the Jewish man in the story that Jesus shares. And if you read the Bible, you know it's one of the parables that Jesus talks about. There was the Good Samaritan that was left, and the Pharisee or the priest didn't stop to help and take care of this person. And it was the Good Samaritan that actually made sure this person was taken care of, had some lodging. He left money for this person and said, I'll come back to see how he's doing in a few days. So Jesus, or the Chosen, turned this around a little bit and made it seem like this man was the one who caused all these issues. And this man thought he killed that person. He really did. He was harboring that guilt. And he felt horrible. And Jesus got him to basically open up and share that story with him. And you can see the expression on James and John's face as they hear him talking about this story. I'm sure they were just like, and we plowed this field for this murderer? I'm sure that had to be going through their mind. But later, the next day, we see that he could walk again. That man woke up the next morning and was jumping and screaming out of bed, and he was healed because Jesus healed him, obviously. And that was just one place where we see that James and John had to do what they were asked to do. Jesus asked them to plow the field, and they did. The next example that I wrote down was we see obedience through faith in doing what Jesus asked us to do in season 1, episode 4. He tells Simon to throw the nets off the boat, just a little further out. And Simon's like, I've already tried this so many times. I have no issue with you, teacher, but even after he listens to Jesus and he throws the nets into the water, what does he do? He's like, He still doesn't believe anything is going to change because he's fished that area all night and he's been fishing it all week and he is not catching any fish. And he knows he's going to go to jail as soon as Quintus gets a hold of him. But what happened? It ended up being the biggest catch of the entire year, probably ever. It was such an amazing catch. They had to fill 2 boats with all the fish that they caught. And James and John had to come over and help, and Zebedee. They all came over to help load up all the fish. Simon already made up in his mind that there wasn't any fish to catch, but he sat and heard the words of Jesus, listening to the word, right? Jesus was talking, he was listening to the word, and then Simon was a doer. He cast his net off the side of the boat and he caught all the fish. So that's 2 examples of how to throw your nets, or I'm sorry, this is live. I can't edit everything I'm saying wrong. This is another example of how to be a doer of the word and how the chosen ties it all in. And in my 3rd example, I'm jumping to season 3, episode 2. And if you've been following my Chosen podcast, Walking with the Chosen podcast, you know that I haven't got to season 3 yet. And I'm currently in the works to finish up my recap episodes for season 2. That is coming soon. I've been trying to get my nerve up to come back and do all this, guys. So I promise I will be back soon. So in this episode, season 3, episode 2, Jesus sends his disciples out 2 by 2. And all the disciples sit there and listen to Jesus as he says, you're going to go out and heal people and you're going to cast out demons. And they're all looking at him like, was there some ceremony I missed? As Nathaniel says to him. And Jesus is like, no, this is it. Well, I don't feel different. And Jesus says, I don't ask you to be, I'm not expecting you to feel anything different. I'm just asking you to go do this thing. I'm asking you to go. So they're all bewildered. But little James, especially, if you watch his face as he listens to Jesus talking, he's just like, what? How? I mean, I'm crippled. And we've seen Thomas and little James talking about this back in season 2, I believe, when we see them all sitting around the campfire later in that episode. But earlier in the episode, we see him talking about, why haven't you asked Jesus to heal you? And so now we're in season 3, and little James is like, I haven't been healed yet. And yet Jesus expected me to go out and heal. I want you to go do. So we see him follow Jesus out of Simon's house, and he wants to speak to him privately. He says, how can a man in my condition, crippled like me, heal others when he himself has not been healed yet? But Jesus reminds little James, he and the Father trust him. How great a story would it be for a person in his condition to preach the word to others and heal others too? James has not only been following Jesus from very early on, but he is now living out his faith by blessing others in Jesus' name. So in my case, I've been absorbing the word like a sponge, diving in daily, doing daily recaps of the Bible, and trying to understand all the nuances of the Old Testament and how it all leads to Jesus, and then reading the New Testament and what Jesus calls us to do. Do, such a big word. And even listening to other people preach. There's several pastors that I love to listen to online. Jack Hibbs is one of them. Josh Hallerton, I think is how you say his last name. He's another one that I really like to listen to. And they help connect all those dots. And my pastor too, of course. He's also excellent at explaining everything. But the main essence of this particular episode I'm trying to teach on is just do whatever the Bible is telling you to do. God will speak to you through the Bible. He's going to give you what you need in order to take those steps of faith and continue on your journey. I hope this was helpful for you, and I will be going live every day this week. It's a practice for me. It helps me build up my confidence as I get used to going live on camera, but also to get back into the studio to record episodes as I do the season recaps, because we know season 6 is coming. It will be out in November, and I want to get all of these recap episodes done before we get there. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How is God asking you to listen to his word and go out and do? I want to know how you were doing that today. All right, talk to you all later.